Hello and welcome back to Sustainable Teacher. If it is your first time here, my name is Leticia and I'm glad to meet you. And if you've been here before, I'm happy to see you again. In today's video, we will keep going with this unit of Dynamics Earth or Earth Dynamics, talking about the endogenous process inside the Earth, those that are triggered by the internal energy of the Earth. So if this video sounds interesting to you, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You should remember from previous years that the Earth inside is divided in layers. Those layers receive three main names, which are crust or lithosphere, mantle, and core or nucleus. At the same time, I don't know if you remember this or know this from previous years, each layer is subdivided into some more layers. Okay, the crust or lithosphere is divided into continental lithosphere or oceanic lithosphere. It's a parallel division depending if that part of the crust is on over the earth, the land in a continent, or under the sea in an ocean. The mantle at the same time is divided into three parts: the upper mantle, the inner mantle, and in between there is a layer which is still being studied, which is called the low density layer. In old times it was called a stenosphere. We don't use this name anymore, but it's gonna be important, this low density layer in these units in the next slides. Okay, and the nucleus is also divided in external core and internal core. By the way, all the layers are solid except for the external core. And this is interesting because for each kilometer we go down, deep down in the core of the Earth, 1 Celsius degrees is gonna rise. So if you've seen this picture, the crust is around 100 kilometers. The core and the difference between the core and the mantle is around almost 3,000 kilometers in the deep. Okay, deep. So at this point, the heat is a lot, like maybe 3,000 Celsius degrees. Theoretically, in this point, all the materials should be fluid, should be melted. Okay, and for the external core, that's true. But interestingly, the internal core is not fluid, is not melted. But it's not for the reason is not for the temperature. The reason for the internal core to be solid is due to pressure. The pressure of all the materials up and around the internal core. They are pressuring the atoms of the molecules of these materials a lot, and this pressure is that high that atoms inside can't almost move. They can't flow around each other like in liquids happen this. Okay, so that's the reason they can't move, so they are solid because they can flow. The rest of the layers before the external nucleus, the heat is not high enough, so they don't melt, they are solid as well. Only the external nucleus is gonna be fluid. And this information is gonna be interesting because it's gonna explain how the internal layers or internal flows move in the mantle and in the core. Okay. Before talking about the movements, let's talk about the origin of this heat. Why the inner Earth is hot. It is I think I said this in the previous video, but if not, I'm going to repeat this right now. It is due to the original heat from the Earth's formation. Around 4,500 or even 5,000 million years ago. There was a star before our sun. Our sun is a second generation star that was finally consumed, and that triggered a nova, which is an explosion. The sun before our sun, star before our sun, imploded and then exploded, creating a nova, not a supernova, because it wasn't that big. Depending on the size of the star, we have nova or supernova. The previous sun to our sun was not big enough to make a supernova, so it just did a nova. During the explosion of the nova, our sun was created, and with the expansion, the expansion wave, there were some materials from the previous star that created the new planets. Okay, and those materials that came from this explosion were really hot, and when they started collisioning during this expansion wave, more heat was created. In the end, all those materials started, due to gravity of those same materials, biggest material started attracting other smaller material, impacting, etc., etc. After this process of attraction and impacts, the planets were created. And of course, in the beginning, all those planets were really hot, almost melted all the time, like lava. With almost 1,000,000 years later, the heat was not high enough anymore to make this planet melt for all the time. So they started to solidify, creating the crust of the planet. The case of the Earth was one of these, but those sandy, earthy materials in general retain heat a lot. So even if the crust was starting to get solid and colder, the heat inside is still retained. Of course, most of the heat has been already lost, but we still have heat enough to have some melted layers inside and to create some flows inside that will explain the endogenous processes. Okay? How we transmit energy inside the Earth. We have three ways to transmit temperature. Okay? The first way is conduction. If imagine I have a heater in here and I touch it, I will feel the heat from the heater because my hand is colder, so heat will go from the hottest body to the coldest body. There is another way, is when sometimes the heater is too hot, so I will put my hand over and I will feel the hot airflow on my hand, so I can stay like this in the heater, heating my hands with the hot air. This is radiation, but none of these methods happens inside the Earth. Inside the Earth we have a third method, which is convection. And convection is when we have like a heat source, which is the inner core, let's say, and we have a fluid next to the heat source and another layer on the top. Okay, which is gonna be the upper mantle, we can say mantle crust. Okay, and remember this low density layer in the mantle as well. So the thing is, from the heat source, which is the nucleus, the core, to the mantle, upper mantle crust, we will have the external core, the external nucleus, and also in some points, depending on the type of materials in the mantle, they could also be sometimes fluid. So the fluid material that are next to the heat source will start flowing up. When they go up, they will get colder, so they will flow down, because you know that heats always go up, cold always go down, creating like circles, like circles of materials. And this circular way of moving is called convection. Is what happens when we boil water. If you see a boiling pan, water in the bottom will get evaporated in form of steam, will create those bubbles that will go up to the surface of the pan. But some water will evaporate, of course, at this moment, but some of the water will get colder and will go again in the bottom of the pan, and will create those circular movements of convection. Okay, this is what is happening also inside the earth, as you can see in this picture. And this is important because the crust, which is solid, will be above these convection movements, okay, convection flows from the mantle. And the thing is that it is the crust is not just one big crust. It's divided into smaller pieces because it's a rigid material, so with the time it has get broken in smaller pieces due to these movements, okay? And those pieces can move over this low density layer, because the low density layer will suffer the convection flow and will kind of flow over under the crust, and in this flow, so this is how they can move over the mantle, the crust over the mantle. The pieces of crust, they have names, and they are called or lithospheric plates or tectonic plates. Both names are used as synonyms, okay? And all the earth is divided into plates, okay? Big plates, some small plates, we won't focus on them in this unit, but we have, for instance, the Eurasian plate, African plate, North American plate, South American plate, Pacific plate, Indo-Australian plate, Antarctica plate, and then we have some smaller ones like Caribbean, Iranic, Arabic, but Nazca, but they are not that important, okay? And depending on how the flow inside affects these pieces of tectonic plates, they will have 3 types of movements, okay? Sometimes we can have divergent movement of separation between plates. So you have 2 plates, one is flowing through to the left and one is flowing to the right, and they will start separating, and in the middle inside there is like a fluid, less dense material. The space created between those plates will be occupied by new material that will go up with the flow. It was fluid, but in the moment of getting to the crust, it will slowly get solid and will create new crust. So the crust will start opening, new crust will be created, okay? It's a divergent movement that will create new crust. Where can this happen? This happen in the oceans, only in the oceans. Well, there is this start in the continent, but we won't learn this year, okay? But this happens in the continent, and it is called ocean ridge, okay? Ocean ridge. The divergent boundaries, divergent edges, divergent plates that create new crust, they are called ocean ridge, and they receive the name of the ocean ridge because they are always in the ocean. This start happening in the continent, but quickly will become an ocean. So this, we can say that this happened in the ocean. That's why they are called ocean ridge, okay? And magma flowing up will create this new crust. on one side and this another side of the crust at the same time. It's symmetrical, okay? The opposite movement, when two plates converge, is convergent boundaries, convergent movement, convergent edges, okay? In this case, both plates flow to the same point. And what will happen? They will start, let's say, hitting each other, and there will be a kind of fight between plates, okay? And in the end, the thinner plate will always lose and will go inside the thicker place, okay? The thinner place, the thicker place. The thinner place is gonna go under inside the bigger plate, and this movement is called subduction, okay? Subduction. And once the inner plate goes inside and with the high temperature, this inner plate will get melted, destroyed, and then recycled in this magma that is going up again in the ocean ridge, okay? So it's a cycle between divergent boundaries that create crust and convergent boundaries that destroy crust. And the destruction can happen between two continental plates, like the Eurasian and the African. So this is happening right now in the Mediterranean Sea, okay? Or it could happen between a continental and oceanic plate, like it's happening in the Pacific between the North and South American plates and the Pacific plate, okay? The result is that in this convergent movement, mountains or ocean trenches will be created. And finally, we have different type of boundaries or edges that are called transform boundaries, okay? And in these boundaries, crust is not created nor destroyed. They are just edges that are connecting one to each other, and they have like horizontal movements, but not divergent or convergent, okay? They don't diverge or converge, they are just next to each other. And the result is that we have a lot of earthquakes in there. In the divergent movement, usually we have volcanoes, not too much earthquake, but volcanoes is typical because lava magma is going out from the inner earth, okay? In the case of the subduction, we have both earthquakes and volcanoes due to all these friction movements in the subduction process. And in the case of the transform boundaries, we only have earthquakes, but we don't have magma, so no volcanoes. And if you see a map of the Earth with all the edges, the boundaries, and typical areas of volcanic activity or earthquake activities, you will see a relation between the plates and the activities, okay? So it is really interesting to understand the risks that we can have in a place of the world according to these tectonic plate movements. Just to finish, I have to tell you that all these ideas of the mantle and the low density layer flowing and dragging the plates, the three movements of plates, the divergent, convergent and transformative movements, they are all framed, let's say, in a theory which is called the tectonics plate theory. So this is the end of this video. If you have any doubt or any comment, leave it in the comments, and of course, see you soon.